Jordan, a lot of college football media have been talking about our Clemson Tigers this offseason. And a lot of it has been in a very positive light, which sometimes makes me a little uncomfortable on how high some of the national media is about our Clemson Tigers. Far be it from me to be superstitious, but some of the love that Clemson is getting, I just wish some of the national types would pump the brakes. We've heard from the likes of Joe Klatt. We've heard from Josh Pate. We've heard from many others.
And Andy Staples, Ari Wasserman, Brandon Marcello. They're all putting
Greg
out their
McElroy,
top 25s.
Yeah, Greg McElroy. Yep. All the top 25 lists that have Clemson securely inside of that top 5. I mean, the list goes on and on of the people singing Clemson's praises. Okay, so with that said, we got to talk about all this preseason hype. And is it warranted? And does it make you nervous at all that all these people are this high on the Clemson Tigers, calling them legitimate national championship contenders? Your thoughts?
Yeah, I feel the same way as you. It makes you uncomfortable for a lot of reasons. I mean, when Paul Feinbaum of all people is telling is on his show saying, I think Clemson is in the national championship race this year, that you start to get like, okay, this is uncharted territory. It's not really uncharted territory, but at least in the recent past, it's uncharted territory.
Yeah.
I think in a lot of ways, I think 2021 through 2023 kind of broke the fan base. I think we're having to get used to expectations again. But still, it's like I think even during the playoff runs where you were always like, every season you were like, yeah, I feel great about my team, but it's like, man, what if the wheels fall off? I mean, that's always kind of something that comes up in the back of your mind. And now with a team that's returning 81% of its production and from last season and leading the country and has all of this hype and all of these first round picks. Have you seen the mock drafts? I mean, I've seen as many as like 5, 6, 7.
I saw one with like 7 on there. I was like, dude, what are we doing?
First round picks.
You got some with 4, you got some with 5, you got some with 6. Like, all right, now calm down. Let's start telling these guys they suck a little bit. Okay.
Yeah, I know.
Can we get some Clemson hater out there to just start posting a video every day about how they're going to fall on their face in the 2025 season?
Shout out to my guy Dustin Black on Twitter. He posted a top 10 and he left Clemson completely off.
Hey,
and I was like, man, thank you so much. This is what the timeline needed, man. I mean, he's a Clemson fan too, so it was like it was perfect. I was like, great. This is exactly we need some. We need a timeline cleanse. We need some. We need to humble ourselves a little bit, and so
we need a little bit of expectation management, right?
Yeah.
Although we just had 3 seasons. I guess the seasons that broke the Clemson fan base. In your words, that was our coming back down to earth, our expectation management seasons. But now you go from the national media basically as a whole kind of criticizing the way that Dabo goes about the transfer portal and how he runs his program, and he's stuck in the past and college football's passed him by, and Clemson's best years with Dabo Swinney are behind them, and so on and so forth, and then and that was as early as heading into last season. And then Clemson does what they do last season, which they weren't perfect, right? But they improved in a lot of ways, specifically on the offensive side of the ball. And then you go into this offseason and, everybody's feeling good about the offense. You got the number one you're the number one team with as far as returning production. You got a quote unquote Heisman caliber quarterback, at least preseason. And you got a new shiny defensive coordinator that's going to, completely turn it around. And suddenly all the national media goes from the games past Dabo by to Clemson as a national championship contender. and it's a little bit of whiplash, and it's a little weird. It makes me nervous, much like you, when all the national types are saying the same thing about your team. I don't know about every other college football fan base out there, but when it's my team, it makes me nervous. I prefer having some doubters out there that are trying to poke holes in your team rather than, yeah, this is Clemson's year. They're a national championship contender. There's no reason they shouldn't be in it. Although,
absolutely, I came into this offseason, you and I both, it's well documented how we feel about the potential of this team.
Yes.
But, my idea going into the offseason was like, okay, we're going to be the only ones that know it. Like that was my hope. It was like, okay, yeah, maybe there'll be some guys that are like, oh, look at, Clemson's returning some really good talent. And, maybe they take another step and cake. Like I would have been fine with all that. But now there are like a large swath of notable college football talking heads that are saying Clemson is my pick to win the national championship. Clemson is my pick to make the final to make the Final Four or
right. I don't know if people out there watch Josh Pate, but he already made his prediction with the draft.
The draft, that was funny.
With the draft analogy and how draft picks equate to national championships and blah 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 blah. Obviously he was somewhat joking in that fact as well. But anyways, it does make me nervous that everybody is kind of jumped headfirst into this Clemson bandwagon, if you will, heading into the 2025 season. And as a I don't know, scarred Clemson fan because of how some things have gone, it makes you think like, are they trying to set us up right now? Like, is this?
It's one big psyop, man. That's what it's.
They're just like, is this some psyop they're running on the college football fan bases, and they're just propping Clemson up just in the hopes that we don't get it done this season, so they can just mid-season just start piling on, the Tigers and Dabo Swinney. I don't think so. Look, the potential's there for Clemson to obviously make a run in 2025 to the national championship if things work out, right? There's a lot of ifs in between now and then. If players don't get hurt, if the bounce of the ball goes a certain way, right? Health plays a big role in that, and a whole slew of other things. But I do think this team has the potential. I do think the preseason hype is real. My only drawback is it makes me nervous that everyone's saying it. I, much like you, thought that we would go through this offseason where, some people, there may be one or two out there that'd be like, well, I don't know. I mean, I think maybe they figured a thing or two out at wide receiver, right? The Cade Klubnik, he was really good last year. He's probably gonna have another really good season. But instead they're just like, yeah, Clemson's back. National title or bust. You might as well book it. Hey, all Clemson fans, go over to whatever booking agency and throw your money on the Tigers. They're winning the national championship in 2025. That kind of stuff makes me nervous. So I do believe in the hype. I do think that Clemson is going to have a very good team in 2025. Does that mean we make it to the national championship? No, not necessarily. A lot of things have to go in your favor for that to happen. You can be a really good team, and things don't go your way, and you find yourself not in that discussion anymore. So, note to all the national media: if you ever listen to me or Jordan, stop talking about Clemson. Just cut it out.
Please stop.
Joe Platt, Josh Pate, Greg McElroy,
Todd McShay,
McShay,
4 Clemson players in the top 10 or whatever it was, or 3 or 4.
All you people, all of you, stop talking about Clemson. Stop talking about them.
I think it's really it has. I think it started with the draft Twitter, because like heading into the spring, you didn't like there was some like, okay, Clemson has some guys returning. Like I'm keeping an eye on them, but I think the difference has been when mock draft Twitter, like after the draft, this past NFL draft ended, and you had all the draft Twitter start putting out their too early mock drafts, and they were looking at the rosters, and they were like, okay, and they're seeing all these players that they could see go first round. Oh, okay, there's TJ Parker, there's Peter Woods, there's Cade Klubnik, Blake Miller, Antonio Williams, and then you start thinking about, I think when they started putting those out, I think some of the other talking heads and college people were like, okay, Clemson is actually kind of loaded this year. Wasn't expecting that. Let me slap them in my top 5. I've seen Clemson as high as number 3. I saw somebody have them at number 2. I don't know if they were a notable person, but I know Brandon Marcello had Clemson at 3.
I've seen them as high as 3 behind Texas and Ohio State.
Yeah.
So,
all right. And then you look at the national championship odds, and you couple that with how low Clemson is on the national championship odds, and now I think everybody is jumping on that. Okay, so not only does this team have a ton of draft picks, they're low. They're relatively low on the odds market for a team of that talent profile. Coming back, I'm jumping on them. And so now I think everybody's kind of hopping on the Clemson wave a little bit, and it's a little unusual because that just wasn't the case, just a few months ago. When Clemson was winning big, like that was expected. There were going to be a lot of people picking Clemson to win a title every year, but now when you considering the slide and all the heat that the program has taken because of that slide. All of a sudden, this just sharp, shift in the conversation. You're like, okay, is this going to work out in our favor, or is this
right?
Are we being set up?
Yeah. You're hoping that the team is staying far away from the what Nick Saban would call rat poison that is permeating college football media right now, with everybody singing Clemson's praises and telling all our big name players how great they are. Telling Cade Klubnik he's a Heisman Trophy.
Yeah, this is Pro Football Focus's fault too. I forgot to mention them. They've been putting out some propaganda.
Yeah. they didn't have to post. They didn't have to post all those high grades. From Peter Woods and Cade Klubnik and TJ Parker and all this. They didn't have to post all that. Yeah. They could have just not posted it. So I'm talking to you too, Pro Football Focus. All of you, stop talking about Clemson for the rest of the off season. Don't talk about Clemson.
Yeah.